It's April, which means that I've been following my diet for more than a month ever since the last update, or at least that's what should have happened, but it didn't because I've been sick for the past more than 2 weeks now. The general advice when it comes to losing weight is that you probably shouldn't do it when you're sick because that's the time when you need to give your body all the nutrition that it needs in order to recover faster. On top of that, going to the gym is not a great idea either because besides the fact that you're spreading your illness to everyone that's there, which also happened to me because I caught it from the gym, which was very annoying, your body needs time to recover because it's exhausted, and if you try to push it harder, you're only going to make the entire situation even worse. Something that I was able to do, despite the fact that I couldn't go to the gym, was go on walks, which I'm sure also helped because I was getting more fresh air in instead of being holed up in a room with stale air, so I kept on doing that. The most annoying part of this experience was actually probably the fact that I had to take antibiotics, which messes up with every part of the diet. I was way more hungry than usual. I also had to eat at different hours than I was used to because you have to eat before you take those pills, which didn't fit my schedule at all. And on top of that, I had stomach acid, which was probably the worst experience out of it. I also had a very weird craving for sugary stuff, specifically Starbucks coffee, which I was drinking one of those coffees per day for the entire period while I was sick. As you can imagine, that didn't help either, but that seems to be over now. But there are two very interesting things that I want to talk about that I've noticed in this period, which are relevant to the weight loss journey. The first thing that I've noticed that actually became obvious pretty fast was that I wasn't feeling as bad as other times when I've had a cold previously before starting my weight loss journey. Ever since I started gaining weight, whenever I got a cold, I was out of it for like 2 to 3 weeks. I was feeling bad, I was bedridden, and couldn't really do much. But this time, I could actually work without pushing myself too hard. I was not feeling well enough to actually record stuff because this requires a different kind of energy, well-being, mood and stuff like that. But I was able to work on stuff to prepare for my next video. Not this one, I have another one coming that I'm looking forward to a lot because it might be one of my best videos so far, so look forward to that one. But back to the topic, I actually was able to be productive even though I was sick. Eating better, healthier, both before I got sick but also during this entire period is probably what made this difference. This actually reinforced very strongly my idea that I need to follow through with this and to lose weight, and got me really excited about getting back on track after I got better. When you're trying to build something like I'm trying to do with this channel, but also other projects that I'm working on, and you're trying to get more stuff going, you actually need the energy to be able to do it. So being able to not get derailed for 3 weeks because I was sick was actually a big differentiator. There's a lot of room for improvement. Like, I remember before gaining weight that I could usually get past a cold in like 3 to 4 days, which I'm hoping to get back to that point. But for now, even tiny improvements are something. The second important thing that I've noticed that's relevant to the weight loss journey that I've just seen today is that I didn't gain any weight back. Like I've said, I was feeling more hungry, so it seemed like I was eating way more than I should. So my expectation was that I've gained my weight back, but after weighing myself today, to my surprise, I'm still where I was during my last update. I guess that what I was feeling, that I was eating way more, was just compared to when I was on the diet. So I just returned to my baseline during the time that I was sick. That's actually very good because it has two implications. The first one is that I'm no longer prone to overeating because I was already feeling full with just eating a normal amount of food. The second one is that the habits that I've built are actually consistent, even though I haven't been able to focus on following them at all. Losing weight is important, but if you do it in a way that's not sustainable for when you stop focusing so much on it and you gain all of it back, that's not that great. But the fact that I was able to maintain it shows me that there's real progress there. Now that I think about it, I've actually realized something else in this period, not related to the fact that I was sick, but related to the weight loss journey, and that's the fact that the walks are getting easier. I've just remembered thinking this while I was out on a walk, that what usually was a hard walk is now the baseline. I've also made some improvements in like my strength over the past few months, but that's like more usual stuff. But never before have I actually thought that, oh, my cardio is improved. So despite the fact that I've actually had to slow down with my diet and everything, there's still some progress that still persists, which I'm more than happy about. Now let's talk about going forward because I can't stay sick forever, right? Like today is actually the first day that I'm off of antibiotics and I'm feeling great, and I've already started with intermittent fasting. I'm not sure if I've actually mentioned intermittent fasting before, but that's also something that I'm doing as part of my diet because it's something that has always worked for me, but I believe I've already mentioned this. I'm not a specialist in healthcare stuff or anything like that, so don't take what I'm about to say for granted, but from what I've read so far, intermittent fasting is good to help reduce inflammation in the gut area, which I believe that after taking the antibiotics is something that I could benefit from. And once again, if I haven't managed to mention this so far in my previous updates, intermittent fasting has been the best way that has helped me lose the most amount of weight while I was still a professional athlete. Besides that, like I've mentioned, I'm going back on the diet with eating healthy, but something that I'm not yet going to do is go to the gym. I'm going to wait a couple more days so I can actually feel completely recovered. I've actually made this mistake in the past of going back to the gym too soon after I had a cold and then I got sick again afterwards. So I want to avoid that this time around. The actual diet itself doesn't require any changes, I just have to work around the stomach acid problem for now, but the 2300 calorie intake that I've set initially seems fine where it's at, I just need to focus on consistently staying under it. There are other things that I want to change. For example, I plan on doing longer walks and ideally trying to go on 2 walks per day whenever I have more free time. I've already managed to increase the distance that I can walk without feeling a lot of discomfort, and I want to increase that further, and for that I have to push myself to go on even longer walks. I also want to raise the bar on my strength training. If I stay at the same weight, that gets boring after a while and I get distracted and all of that. So I need to constantly try to increase my personal records. That's what I found that works for me, to have something to aim at, to hit a certain threshold, for example, a goal that results in some form of progress at the end. That might not be for everyone else, but that's what works for me and I'm gonna try to use that to my advantage. For example, my personal record on bench press is 110 kilograms and I'm gonna try to up that to 120 in the short term. The focus is not only on the bench press, that's just an example. I have goals for every other muscle group, I'm not gonna list them here, but the distance traveled that I can walk without having difficulties is also in the same category. I'm also thinking about switching gyms. I don't really have a better option close to me, but the current one doesn't let me record inside, which is a problem because I want to document as much as possible. Something else that I need to change on the short term is to reduce the amount of coffee that I drink per day because of the stomach acid problem. I enjoy drinking coffee a lot, and I've talked about this in the past with other people that are in kind of the same situation, and everyone mentioned that after some time you kind of get like an oversaturation from drinking coffee. When I've had this in the past, at one point I had to stop drinking coffee entirely. I'm not at that point yet, but I will reduce it temporarily just to see how it goes. So yeah, that's about most of the updates from this time around. I also had the push-up challenge ongoing where I'm trying to increase how many push-ups I can do at one time, but that got postponed for now. So I'm gonna do it, but probably after losing a couple more pounds. So yeah, I'm now back from being sick and I plan on creating a couple more videos soon, some very interesting ones. So look forward to those, subscribe if you want to see them, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.